Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos. So Ole Gunnar Solsjaker has come out and admitted he will wait until Sunday to make a decision of what starting 11 he's going to go with against Liverpool on Sunday. Now Ole Gunnar Solsjaker, throughout his press conference and that, I'm going to interpret some of the stuff he mentioned. He has provided us some news regarding David De Gea, and reportedly David De Gea's injury now is not as bad as we first feared, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has confirmed. I think Solskjaer still expects him to miss the game on Sunday, due to the injury. I think it is a leg injury, obviously, that he had sustained, whilst he was on international duty with Spain, because obviously Spain drew 1-1 with Sweden on Tuesday evening, which was obviously earlier on this week. The extent of the injury was unknown, but I think now it's not too severe, which is very, very good news. David De Gea is actually still convinced that he could, be involved in the game against Liverpool, because actually, he's notified his friends about it. But I think, he is a huge doubt. So I think, Sergio Romero, will be going in goal instead. But like I mentioned, David De Gea probably will be missing his first Premier League game for Manchester United in almost 7 years. But like I mentioned, David De Gea has had a fantastic, career with the football club so far. I think he has been a bit below par, in the last 10 to 11 months, but I think prior to that he has done mainly well. And I think, De Gea's had 7.5 good years at the football club. He has been here 8 years. He's now into his 9th season at Manchester United. So David De Gea is going to be a big miss. Obviously, Man United have obviously had a lot of injuries, so you can take that into account. But obviously, it's not an excuse, the way that Manchester United have performed this season, because obviously we are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. So it's our worst start to a Premier League season since 1989. Solskjaer's also unsure if Wan-Bissaka, Jesse Lingard and Anthony Martial, will be fully fit, because I think it was expected that Luke Shaw and Anthony Martial, were going to be fit for this game against Liverpool, because obviously Anthony Martial and Luke Shaw have not both played, since the 2-1 home defeat to Crystal Palace earlier on in the season. Like I mentioned, Martial and Luke Shaw, of course, are two imperative players. And Anthony Martial's been out with a thigh injury. Like I mentioned, Luke Shaw has been away with a hamstring injury. I don't think there's any fitness updates that have been provided on Anthony Martial yet. But, actually, he could miss this game. And like I mentioned, Luke Shaw, could also, miss this game. Like I mentioned, Wan-Bissaka, he's obviously missed the last 2 league games for Man United. Obviously, due to illness, he's, had tonsillitis. Well, he's missed the last 3 in all competitions. And again, Wan-Bissaka is a very, very imperative player, because a lot of people believe, he's been our most consistent signing so far. And, I will agree on that aspect. But it's unsure, whether he will be back or not. Obviously, Bailly still remains out, so obviously, he won't be involved. He's out with an injury until the end of December or the new year. I think Fossil Mensah is still out. Obviously, it's confirmed that definitely Paul Pogba is out. He's obviously his ongoing foot injury has been surrounding the player for a matter of weeks. So definitely Paul Pogba is out of this game. So obviously, reflecting on the injuries, we've got obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to make alterations in the squad. It's probably very probable that we will go with a 4-2-3-1 formation against Liverpool, and more than likely, we will park the bus. But also, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's recently come out and said, he feels as though he's the right man for Manchester United. He says, he's never felt that, the job's too big for him. In my own perspective, probably a lot of Man United fans, on that, will have different perceptions, to me. But my perception on it all is that, I just don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got any intuition of managing a big club like Manchester United. I don't think his pedigree is good enough, because obviously before Solskjaer got recommended in to the football club, obviously, he was at Mould. He won a couple of Norwegian titles with them. Obviously, he had a really short tenure with Cardiff, and he actually, ended up up, getting Cardiff relegated, and he only had a really short tenure with Cardiff. I think he only managed around 30 games for Cardiff, and certain Manchester United fans fear if Solskjaer is to remain at the football club for this season, that he could end up, getting Manchester United relegated. Now, I don't see that happening, to be quite honest with you, because I think the club's too big, and there's too much money and that into the football club. I just don't see that happening. And obviously, we haven't been relegated since 1974, which is obviously over 40 odd years ago now, or something like that. But yeah, we're just sitting 2 points above relegation. He was sitting 2 points above relegation. We're sitting 12th in the league. We've only won 2 of our opening 8 games so far this season. So we've only registered 9 points from 8 league games, and we know that's nowhere near good enough to our standards and that. But I just don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to last at the club, much longer. I think, if we do suffer a defeat to Liverpool on Sunday, that could end Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's spell at Manchester United. It's not assured that he will be sacked if we do lose to Liverpool, but obviously the pressure will obviously increase on him more if we do lose to Liverpool. But actually, quite frankly, we'd expected to lose to Liverpool and that, because obviously, Liverpool have enjoyed a fantastic start to the season. Liverpool obviously are looking to equal Manchester City's Premier League record of 18 wins on the bounce. And Liverpool have won 8 out of 8 so far this season. They're sitting 8 points clear of Man City. They're 15 points in front of Manchester United. So Liverpool anyway, are expected to win the game. It obviously got revealed that how much it will cost Manchester United to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I think the club will have to pay around £7 million in compensation to get rid of him, which is around half than what we paid to get rid of Jose Mourinho, because I think we paid around 19 or £20 million to get rid of Jose Mourinho. But like I said, we all knew at the beginning of this season that Man United, we're not going to mount a title challenge up, but we didn't expect us to be in this current position than winning now. I did initially say at the start of this season our expectations this season will be to finish in that top 4. So obviously in that aspect we can't get back into the Champions League, because obviously if we failed to qualify for the Champions League last season, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is aware of the expectations. He has to exceed at the football club, if he is, to remain at Manchester United. But he just isn't good enough, as a manager, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But he still feels as though he's the right man for Man United. You've obviously got Ed Woodward, that's also, backing him. He's 100%, insisting that he's still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer despite our disastrous start to the season. And I think, Solskjaer's been assured that he will get given money to spend in January if he is, of course, still at the football club, which he actually could be. I think we'll do the vast majority of our transfer business next summer. We may sign 1 or 2 players in January, but I think we'll do the vast majority of our transfer business, next summer. I think, speaking, Man United need at least 5 to 6 more signings if we are to be back, to being a competitive elite level football club, because you can still see the deficiencies in the squad. We didn't address all, the problematic areas during the summer transfer window. I credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the aspect, that he did recommend 3 good signings to the squad. We spent nearly £150 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and of course on Harry Maguire, and we have seen glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far. So I'm happy that we addressed, we got that experienced centre half in. We also got that right back in, but we didn't address all the problematic areas. So for me, there's the depth in the squad is not good enough. So I think we need to definitely recommend a midfielder in, because we are lacking creative impetus in that midfield. I think Neville believes that Man United need 2 central midfielders. I think definitely we need an attacker, we need a striker. We need to recruit a replacement for Romelu Lukaku, because I think we do look exposed in that attacking line following the dismissal of Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez, and obviously with the injury of Anthony Martial. Obviously Rashford was injured not too long ago, but we do need someone that can assure us goals, someone that can be more effective in the box, definitely, because we also lacked goals this season. We've only scored 9 Premier League goals in 8 Premier League games. So in every game this season, in every game this season, that we've scored in, we've only managed to score one goal prior to the Chelsea game, because obviously, we beat Chelsea 4-0 on the opening day of the Premier League season. Some people believe, where we do need a left back and that. But like I mentioned, our recruitment has been poor now for several years, and this is what made me say that the board have been a liability for several years. And like I mentioned, I think due to our inconsistency, I think everyone's to blame, including Solsjaker, including Ed Woodward, including a lot of the players. A lot of them, do need a reality check, reflect on their bad run of performances. But like I do keep mentioning, I think the vast majority of the blame stems from the board, because, the board, the board, do, in my opinion anyway, need to assure structural changes at the football club. The board, with their poor selection of managers, have also been a liability. They also didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, during the course of the summer. So yeah, I think they're mainly to blame. And, you're still getting certain Manchester United fans that are still backing Solskjaer, and some of them are actually saying, we should actually, get rid of our current board and recommend a new board in. So yeah, that's like I mentioned, all Manchester United fans mostly will have different perceptions on it, but obviously the vast majority of Manchester United fans want Solskjaer out of the club, and they do believe, he will be gone by Christmas and that. Like I mentioned, some of Solskjaer's tactics are questionable, and I will admit, we are tactically inept, and that, but, I have got some element of concerns about him. But I think the only reason that the board are sticking with Solskjaer at the moment is because, obviously, he was a club legend, he was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years, he flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance, and, he has got that proven pedigree as a player as Solskjaer, but he just hasn't got it as a manager, I am afraid to say. But the board have softened their stance, because obviously he was a club legend, and if this had been any other manager now, I think he would have been gone by now, to be quite honest with you. But I think the mistake Manchester United did make was giving Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job in the first place. Like I mentioned on my recent videos, we should have waited until the end of last season, or we should have waited at some point until this season, to decide or not whether to give him the job. But actually, since he's got the job permanently, Solskjaer, I've had a different perception on it. Obviously, since he's got the job permanently, it has all gone wrong, and now the majority of Man United fans are saying, he's not the right man for the club and that, and he's not the right man to elevate this club forward. But, obviously, whilst he was the interim manager in that 3-month period, I had a different perception of him at that point, and I thought at that point he was the right man for Manchester United, because obviously in that 3-month period when he was the interim manager, the results were good, the performances were good, he was getting the best out of these group of players, and he exceeded expectations and that, and he even won 14 out of 19 in total in that 3-month period. But it just seems to me, since he's got the job permanently, everything has just seemed to have all gone wrong. Don't forget, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer he's on a 3-year contract with the football club, but he has enjoyed a difficult 7-month tenure with Manchester United. Solskjaer overall has been at the club now around 10 months, so he's been at the football club, just under a year. But I just don't see him having a long-term future with Manchester United, I'm afraid. Obviously, we've already got a list of managers on our agenda, who could replace Solskjaer at Manchester United. But it's not just Solskjaer to blame, like I mentioned, and we have been a toxic club for the last 6 or 7 years. We haven't been the same team since the Alex Ferguson era and that. But like I mentioned, Solskjaer can't invoke Ferguson's legacy at Manchester United to save him. No manager, whatever manager we have, regardless, no one will ever invoke, Ferguson's legacy, and that's something we've got to accept in that, because, like I mentioned, back under the Ferguson era, he controlled the transfer policies, he controlled the contracts. Obviously, he had 26 successful years. Obviously, he had that fear factor, that winning mentality, and that was there. And, Ferguson, did develop a lot of young players. And actually now, there's still some players here from the Alex Ferguson era, only a couple, not many. And I did say I'm hopeful that this team at this day and age, can replicate, what the team did under Alex Ferguson. But you still getting certain, Man United fans, and you're still getting some former Man United players and that saying that Solskjaer should be still given more time at the football club, because Obviously, we know that a massive rebuild is needed, without a shadow of a doubt. A massive rebuild is needed. And some people say, look, we should just give him a couple of windows, see who else he can recommend into the squad. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solsjaker, can quite frankly say, is still in the process of rebuilding the Man United squad, because obviously analysing the majority of this team, it isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. Obviously, the majority of this team is actually Jose Mourinho's, because Jose Mourinho did recommend 11 players into the football club. Obviously, Solskjaer now is still inheriting the vast majority of them. You got Rio Ferdinand coming out not too long ago saying that Manchester United would be naive to sack Solskjaer. So his perception, he believes we should stick with him. Obviously you got get Ryan Giggs. He also said Man United should give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer more time. But yeah, he's definitely not going to last at the football club. And I hate to say that, because Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. And like I mentioned, the club haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers, even though we have sacked 3 managers already since the Alex Ferguson era. But yeah, and Solskjaer, Ed Woodward actually, has actually told, his staff as well, that Solskjaer, is the right man, and he believes his philosophy for the club is right. I don't think, Solskjaer has a philosophy. He said at the beginning of the summer that he was actually, following Alex Ferguson's philosophy, and this is what, he had basically said. But yeah, we need to start, everything needs to improve at the club, the results need to improve, the performances need to improve, the away form definitely needs to improve, because we haven't won away from home since the PSG game last season, when we did produce that miraculous comeback. Home form needs to improve, because also that's been very, very bad. The style of play is also atrocious. That also needs to improve. And all we need to see is we need to see some attacking intent from Man United, and we haven't, shown that this season. We need to sort of exploit them spaces that certain teams leave behind, and we're not doing that. We're not scoring enough goals. We're not, being clinical enough in front of goal, and that's also been a problem and something Man United need to address. And it was the same last season. We wasn't ruthless enough in front of goal. But yeah, and like I said, this is going to be a really, really tough game against Liverpool. Obviously Man United and Liverpool, is the biggest game in English football. It's the biggest game in English football because obviously they are the 2 most successful clubs in England. Historically, obviously Liverpool have got obviously 18 old. Liverpool have won 18 all first divisions. We've won 20 Premier League titles. Liverpool, I think, overall have won 43 trophies. We've won 42 trophies, because Liverpool won the Super Cup earlier on in the season. Despite the fact, that Liverpool are strides ahead of us at the moment, we all know that. It's still one of the most iconic fixtures without a shadow of a doubt and that. But like I said, Liverpool are aware of their expectations. Their expectations this season will be to win the Premier League. That will be Liverpool's expectations this season, to win the Premier League. And I think they're gonna. That's getting a bit overconfident, because obviously it's still early on in the season. But I think they can do it this season. Like I mentioned, they've never won the Premier League. They haven't won it all in all for 3 decades. And they have, like I mentioned, they have come close on a few occasions of Liverpool. They were unlucky not to win it last season, lost it by a point. Liverpool registered 97 points last season, and that still wasn't enough. They came close back under the Brendan Rodgers era. Obviously, they had a great season back in 2013-14 under Brendan Rodgers. But they have come close on quite a few occasions. But I think this could be the year for Liverpool. And but like I mentioned, Liverpool have been very, very sensible with their recruitment. Like I mentioned, and like I said, with Man United, we're obviously known for overpaying for players and that, and I said always spending big on players and getting them Galactico players doesn't always guarantee you success. And look what Liverpool have done. They didn't do any investment during the summer, but but in the previous windows before the summer, they did really, really good investment. They paid 75 million for Van Dijk. He's the best centre half in the world. They got Allington in. You can say at this present time maybe he's the best goalkeeper in the world, not overall though. So they've done really good investment, and Liverpool's defence is fantastic. their midfield's fantastic, and like I mentioned, they have got a lot of midfielders. They've got, Georgina Wijnaldum, they've got Milner, they've got Henderson, they've got Keita, they've got a good midfield of Liverpool. They've got a great attacking trio in Salah, Firmino, and Mane. Obviously, Salah hasn't played to he hasn't performed to the standards this season for Liverpool, as Liverpool all expected. But I think when he's in bad form, Liverpool obviously do consider putting him more centrally, put him centrally instead of putting him out wide. So I think Salah probably will play centrally on Sunday, to be quite honest with you. Firmino and Mane can score goals between them as well, but I think they're totally comparison to Mohamed Salah, because obviously Mohamed Salah's much better than them two. But they do complement each other fantastically well. That attacking trio. Like I mentioned, Liverpool have had injuries themselves. Nowhere near to the extent of how many injuries Man United and that have haven't got. But yeah, like I said, Salah's recently been out of an ankle problem, but he's going to be definitely back for Liverpool. He's going to be definitely back for Liverpool. Shaqiri's been out of a calf problem. Liverpool have obviously got Joe Matip out of injury, don't forget. But I think he was injured, but now he's confirmed he's back in training. Allinson was out of injury, but he's expected to start on Sunday. But yeah, this is going to be a very, very big game, and obviously it was 0-0 at Old Trafford last season. Like I mentioned in that game, that was one of the games that cost Liverpool the league last season. You can say Liverpool drew a lot of games last season. But only actually lost one. They only actually lost one in that, which was obviously very, very good for them. But yeah, it was 0-0 because obviously, I think we had 3 of our players go off injured in the first half. If I could remember rightly, Liverpool had one of their players coming off injured. Rashford, don't forget, was limping, but actually, he managed to see out the full 90 minutes. And that was a good point for us last season, against Liverpool. Like I mentioned, Liverpool's record at Old Trafford is very, very bad. Like I mentioned, they've only won twice at Old Trafford in the Premier League in the last 10 years. The last time they did beat us at Old Trafford in the league was back in 2014, of course, when we did have David Moyes. But yeah, it's always a very, very big game, between the both sides. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. I do expect us to lose in that, but I think it's actually the game against Norwich. If we lose that towards the back end of the month, that could be the game. That could finish Solsjaker at Man United. And with Jurgen Klopp, I think his philosophy is right for Liverpool. Like I mentioned, Klopp, when he first got appointed him as Liverpool manager, obviously, he was really, really, he enjoyed the bad, difficult start, to his Liverpool tenure. Did Jurgen Klopp when he first got recommended in. His record after his first 29 games was also very, very bad. I think, he's actually, Winston Solskjaer's after 29 games. You want to take that into account. But since then, Jurgen Klopp settled in really, really well. He invested well with Liverpool. He's got Liverpool playing well. The brand of football is good. He hasn't won much in terms of silverware. He's won 2 trophies with Liverpool. Before he was at Liverpool, he won a couple of titles with Dortmund and that. I think before at Dortmund, he was at Mainz. And Klopp's actually never beaten, Manchester United. He's never beaten Man United at Old Trafford. Obviously hasn't beaten Solskjaer as yet. I'm really, really looking forward to the game. But, we could have, key players out for this game. After good news was coming out early on this week saying that 3 or 4 key players were expected to return for Man United. It actually said Pogba should have returned. We didn't know obviously this injury were going to occur with David De Gea and that. So David De Gea's injury is not as bad as we first feared, like Solskjaer's confirmed, but we still don't expect him to be involved on Sunday. So obviously, that's going to be a huge disappointment. That's still obviously going to be a huge disappointment. And like I said to you, yesterday on one of my videos, Solskjaer obviously recently came out and he's actually defending, the club's current structure. So Solskjaer actually insists that, the football club, do not need a new director of football. Because don't forget, for the majority of the summer, we was in search for a director of football. Because I did initially say, you know, that's one of the structural changes we do need at the football club. And you could arguably say if we'd have got that director of football in the summer, then maybe in that aspect Ole Gunnar Solsjaker, you know, would have been backed more. And like I mentioned, there was a few former Manchester United players, you know, linked with that director's role, you know, during the summer and that. You know, there's obviously been recent speculation going on about Edwin van der Sar. Obviously, you know, Edwin van der Sar indicated out at some point in his future, maybe not now, but at some point in his future, he would like to make a return to the football club. And I did say, you know, it would be beneficial to recommend someone who knows the culture of the club, someone who, of course, has got that, you know, experience, someone who would be reliable to oversee the club's transfer business. And I think, you know, Van der Sar would be the right solution. You know, he's a former Man United goalkeeper, served 6 years at the club, and you know he's doing really, really good now with Ajax. He's the chief executive at Ajax. Yeah, so if we are to appoint one in you know in the future or whenever, you know, I think Van der Sar is the likely candidate, and I think, you know, a lot of Man United fans believe, you know, he would be the right candidate without a shadow of a doubt and that. But yeah, so Solskjaer still believes he's the right man for Manchester United. But I do, like I mentioned, I do credit him in certain aspects. You know, he recommended 3 good players to the squad during the summer. You know, he has got a lot of trust with him and his young players. Also, Ed Woodward was speaking about that. He's got a lot of trust with him and his young players, and the majority of the young players have been, you know, given their chances this season, which is very, very good. And you know, we also did get rid of a lot of the deadwood, you know, during the course of the summer, you know, which was obviously, you know, very, very good. And despite the fact that a lot of players have left since Solskjaer's arrival, I still believe, from my perception, that, you know, these still more problematic players at the football club that need to be moved on in January. Maybe some of them, you know, need to be moved on next summer. But like I mentioned, you know, Italy's been a very popular destination for the vast majority of our players this summer, because obviously a lot of them have gone to Italy. You know, we have loaned some players out, some have gone out on, you know, permanent deals. But yeah, and I think another mistake from the football club, you know, was obviously, you know, letting Ander Herrera go on a free transfer. You know, I don't think the club should let him go at all, but it infuriated me more that, you know, we let him go on a free transfer, because you could arguably say Ander Herrera, you know, was one of our best players since the Alex Ferguson era. And we are aware, you know, that the difference, you know, that, you know, he did make in that midfield. We are aware the difference he did make in that midfield, you know, Ander Herrera. But I was infuriated, you know, that we let him go on a free transfer, and it's very imperative that Man United, you know, do, you know, recruit a replacement for him in January or next summer. Yeah, but that was a mistake. You know, Fellaini, I don't think that was much of a mistake of Man United getting rid of Fellaini. You know, Fellaini obviously endured 6 years at Man United. I think he was mainly inconsistent in that 6-year period, so we did right getting rid of him. You know, when we got him under Moyes, I thought we definitely overpaid for the player. You know, we paid just over 27 million for him, but now obviously he's in China because he went to China in January. Lukaku, obviously he's gone to Inter Milan, as you all know. He went in this summer. It was no surprise that he left, because obviously, you know, he lost his place in the team, and, you know, Solskjaer confirmed his preference was, you know, Rashford over Lukaku. Lukaku endured, 2 years at Man United. He did really, really well in his first year at the club when he came in, and that he scored 27 goals in all competitions, I think it was. And then obviously he didn't replicate the form in his second season, what he did in his first season, Lukaku. But some United fans did pinpoint out it actually, you know, was a mistake from us getting rid of him, because he did score, you know, in some pivotal games for the club. You know, they did Romelu Lukaku. Yeah, he did actually score in some pivotal games. You know, they did Romelu Lukaku. But anyway, you know, he went. I'm actually happy with the money we generated from his departure. You know, we got 70 odd million for him. You know, so we basically recouped the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago. There was no surprise Sanchez left anywhere. You know, Sanchez is on loan with Inter Milan. You know, he obviously, you know, endured the difficult 18 months with Man United, and, you know, despite the fact that Sanchez is on loan with Inter Milan, you know, the club are still paying the vast majority of his wages. I still believe we're paying Sanchez around 300 grand a week. You know, Smalling's on loan with Roma. He went to Roma for just under 3 million. But despite the fact he's on loan with Roma, we have still got around 6 centre backs in the team. Darmian, of course, left the football club. He went to Parma for just over 1 million, and obviously Valencia left at the end of last season after he served 10 years there with Man United. And obviously, we have loaned a couple of goalkeepers out. We have loaned a couple of goalkeepers out and that. But yeah, definitely for me, there's more players there that do need to be moved on by the football club. But like I mentioned, reflects on the size and the size, the potential of this club, and the history of this club. We should be much more of a commanding position, than winning now. And also, a lot of money's been invested into Manchester United over the years since the Ferguson era. I think around 700 or is it 800 million that's been spent in all the managerial eras since the Ferguson era. That's just under £1 billion, and that's not taking into account, what was spent under Alex Ferguson. But without a shadow of a doubt, more investment is needed into the club, and we haven't only spent big on players. We've obviously now got players on big contracts and that, and big wages at the club, and I think recently Brandon Williams has just signed a new contract at Man United. But look at Rashford. Look at him. He's on what, 300 grand a week at the football club. Is Rashford. You've got Martial on 200 grand a week. You've got Lingard on just over 100 grand a week. You've got Pogba on 290 grand a week. You've got Harry Maguire on 200 odd grand a week. You've got David De Gea on 375 grand a week. Obviously, he's the highest paid goalkeeper in the world. So yeah, we have got players on big contracts at the football club. But like I mentioned, I think my perception on the young upcoming players now. Obviously, they deserve to all get given a chance, like Solsjaker did, Shaw and that. Like I mentioned, obviously not all the young upcoming players, are going to be a success at Manchester United. Like I mentioned, this is why I think we're considering loaning some young upcoming players out in January. So I think we're considering loaning Chong, Angel Gomez and Jimmy Garner out in January. But I think that would be beneficial. Maybe because they're not good enough to represent Man United, that may be a reason why we're considering loaning them out. Maybe because they need more experience, I don't know. But yeah, there's been talks about that recently going on. But one thing I can assure is that Mason Greenwood will be a success at the club. I can assure that. I also assure that Alex Tuanzebe can be a success at the football club. And I think them two have done really, really well this season, to be quite honest with you. And it's impossible to leave Mason Greenwood out of the team, if he keeps the consistency up and he keeps scoring, and he comes up with a moment of quality, when obviously he did that, in the FC Astana game and the Rochdale game and that, which was obviously very, very good. But yeah, Mason Greenwood only turned 18 years of age at the beginning of this month. But he will become a success at the football club without a shadow of a doubt. I've got a element of concerns about Chong. Without a shadow of a doubt, I've got a element of concerns about him. But yeah, like I mentioned, a lot of young players in the squad. We got Diego Dalot. He's obviously had injury problems this season. I think he's injured now at the moment. I think he's played about 2 or 3 games so far this season. Is Diego Dalot. I think he needs more time at the club. He's only been at the football club, don't forget, since last summer. Is Diego Dalot. He's been here since the Jose Mourinho era. Like I mentioned with McTominay and Fred, my thoughts are compatible on both players. I don't know, like I mentioned, if they are the long-term solutions for Man United. But I think overall, analysing McTominay's performances this season, I think he has done really, really well. I don't know if he can keep the consistency up, but I think he's only had one bad game this season. And that was the game against Newcastle. I think prior to that, he's mainly done really, really well with Scott McTominay. But he's only 22 years of age, and he has still got a lot of development in him. And my opinions on Fred, he's had the odd game here and there where he's done well for Man United. A lot of Man United fans believe he isn't good enough for the football club, Fred. I'd give him more time. I agree on the aspects that definitely the club overpaid for him. You know, we paid just under £50 million for Fred from Shakhtar Donetsk last summer. Obviously, he hasn't performed nowhere near to the level as he did do at Shakhtar Donetsk. Because to be quite honest with you, he was an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk. You know, was Fred. But yeah, I have got some element of concerns about him. Don't get me wrong. You know, my thoughts on Andres Pereira, I'd give him more time at the club. I think he returned to the club earlier on in the summer, did Andres Pereira, because obviously he was on loan with, he had 2 loan spells in Spain with Granada and Valencia. Obviously that gained him more experience. He has done well in some games for Man United. I think he's only had 1 game this season I can recall he's done well, and that was the 1-1 draw with Arsenal. Pereira has played on the right hand side quite a few times. But for me, you know, there is a lot of players that do need a reality check, and there's a lot of players that have got to step up to the plate. Because I think in that team, we're lacking leaders in that team, and definitely lacking leaders in that team. You know, Rashford has been poor this season. You know, Rashford definitely needs to improve. You know, he won't spend the entirety of his career with Man United, I don't think. He has done so far up until this point. You know, he's been a United player since the age of 7. He's been in the senior squad with us since 2016 as Rashford. And, you know, but for now, what? I've got to say, for the majority of this season and the last couple of months of last season, he's been inconsistent in comparison to his time when he first broke into the senior squad, because, you know, he was fantastic when he first broke into the senior squad. You know, Rashford is nearly 22 years of age now, but he has still got a lot of development in him, and I still say it's a long-term solution for the football club. Rashford's better out wide, in my opinion, because I think Martial's more effective in the central position than Rashford. That's my perception on that. But yeah, give Rashford a bit more time. Lingard's definitely got to step up to the plate, because reflecting on these status at the football club, he should be putting much more better performances out. Pereira, like I mentioned, he step up to the plate. When Paul Pogba does regain full fitness, he needs to step up to the plate, because I know he's missed the last five games out of 7 with injury in that. He's obviously been out with a foot injury, but analysing Paul Pogba's career at Manchester United since he rejoined from, you know, Juventus back in 2016, he has been mainly inconsistent in that. And, you know, there was a lot of speculation coming out the other week saying that Paul Pogba, you know, was demanding a substantial 600 grand a week from Manchester United, you know, if he obviously, you know, was to possibly extend his contract with the football club. Man United, not too long ago, well, it might have been a couple of weeks ago now, were in negotiation with his agent, Mini Raiola, you know, over the possibility of extending his contract at the football club, and obviously to discuss, you know, Paul Pogba's future and that, you know, at Manchester United. Yeah, I can't see he's willing to give him 600 grand a week. That equates to around 30 million a year. 30 million a year does 600 grand a week, and Pogba's on a substantial amount as it stands at the moment on his current contract. On his current contract, he's on around 290 grand a week. He's Pogba, and he's got 2 years left on it with an option to extend it by a further year. And like I mentioned, Victor Lindelof, I've been mainly impressed with him this season. I think he's had a couple of bad games, but I think prior to that he has mainly done well. And I think he's settled in really, really well alongside Harry Maguire. I do believe, you know, they have blended in fantastically well. But he has been out of a back injury as Lindelof. Like I mentioned, this is why I missed a 1-0 defeat against Newcastle. But I think, you know, he definitely will be playing on Sunday. Like I mentioned, you know, there's been a lot of talks about Max Allegri going on, as you all know. I think he's going to be Manchester United's next manager if Solsjaker is to be sacked by the football club. Well, is Manchester United's primary candidate is, you know, Max Allegri. Obviously, you know, Max Allegri stirred up a lot of suggestions. You know, I think he's indicating out basically that he's interested in taking the mantle on at Manchester United, and you know, he knows how much of a big club they are. You know, historically in that. Obviously, you know, he's been learning English in preparation for his potential move for quite some time now. He's demanded a few things. If he is to be given the job at Man United, he wants to bring Mario Mandzukic and Emre Can to the football club with him. in January, if he is to be appointed, you know, before January or in January. And he also wants Patrice Everett as one of his coaching staff. He did confirm, Max Allegri. But do you think he would be the right candidate for Manchester United? And he hasn't been managerless for long, really. He only stepped down as Juventus manager at the end of last season. But there has been a lot of talks about him going on, and I think Man United are... Well, he's been discussing, with the football club about the salary he would earn if he came in, and reportedly he would earn around 6.5 million per year at Old Trafford. This is what he basically said. But he's got that managerial experience, you know. Obviously, the vast majority of his Super one came at Juventus because he had a 5-year tenure with Juventus, don't forget. He obviously been managing for 16 years now, or just over. Began his managerial career in 2003. But I think he's likely to be Man United's next manager. If he is to come in, obviously, he will be the 5th permanent manager since the Ferguson era. And yeah, that's that I think, you know, could happen. I know there's been other managers on our agenda, but he's the likely candidate. Is Max Allegri. And yeah, you know, that's really everything to update you. So just wanted to tell you, I wanted to interpret some of the stuff Solskjaer mentioned throughout his press conference and that. Obviously, like he's mentioned, he still believes he's the right man for the club, and he's given, like I mentioned, he's given us some news on De Gea and that. Still expected not to play on Sunday, but his injury is not as bad as we first thought, which is good news. And Bissaka, Lingard, Martial and Luke Shaw all could miss the game as well. So Solskjaer's actually unsure. So we will know more news on Sunday. And it's the only game on Sunday, United and Liverpool, by the way. 4:30 kickoff. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes, below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless you. That what you doing?
Well, 12, it'll get a few.
Oh.
Me?
Oh, yeah.
You're doing that so much, I'm telling you. You get lung disease.
How about?
Well.
How about?
If you got a barbers when you locked door.
Yeah. Why will I get lung disease?
What? They've already reports going on about.
Well, from where?
That they're bad for you.
Who said that?
Don't look up.
Who said that?
Aye.
Who said they're bad for you?
I've seen him on phone and that. I've seen it on phone.
Where from though? US?
There's reports I've seen on it.
US?
No, here as well.
Listen to it then, I'm not bothered. Listen to it.
Yeah, but you're doing it too much. Rome's full of it.
So?
You'll know about it when you're coughing all the time and you can't breathe right.
I'm not bothered. Yeah.
Still pay my council tax, what I pay for now.
Alright.
£24 a week deliver. Fucking hell.
Go on, man.
How much have you got to live on? 27 quid for a week?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. 3 for 20. Right, enough to weld it, I get a few.
Alright. Sorry guys, just talking there, but yeah, and that's mainly everything to update you with, of what obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's mentioned and that, and yeah. So anyway guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.